the quest to discover something is all life is. All we are doing every day is we're discovering what our life is today. What's our life like today? Everything about it, if you think about it, is yet another day of discovery. What shall I discover about my life today? Do I discover that I can handle this stress? Do I discover I really want to just kick back and do nothing but read? What do I want to discover about my world today? Do I discover a new person in my world that I didn't know was there? And every day is really a discovery. Hi everybody, time for another archetype. In this case, this week, I'm going to be blending a couple of archetypes that are from, you could think of as an archetypal family, if you will. And I'm going to focus on the wanderer and the explorer, because these two archetypes have a lot in common, and yet they are unique. And so I'm going to start with the wanderer. And this is going to age me. Do you remember that song by Dion, The Wanderer? I'm the kind of guy who likes to get around. I got to sing it. Move from town to town because I'm the wanderer. It kind of captures that song, silly as it is, but you should listen to it. It captures the romantic idea that wandering is this well, that's enough of this, and I'm out of here, and I can just, leave and wander where I want to go, and the world is my oyster, as they say. But the wanderer is much more complex, I should say, than just where we go, where we find that we allow ourselves to go, like we just giving ourselves permission to go on a walkabout, to just wander here. The wanderer has a very interesting inner evolution. Now, one of the things about the wanderer is that it wakes up when it starts to think that it is in captivity, that something is holding it back. Now, that captivity could be a place, it could be a relationship, it could be a thought form. A thought form could hold you in captivity. Like I need to just get out of these ideas and see what else is out there. I've got to wander into a vaster school of knowledge. When I decided to go to graduate school to study theology, I realized that my way of thinking was so limited, was so Catholic, was so provincial, that I had to get out, and I needed an escort. I needed to wander into different ways of thinking, different ways of imagining, and I didn't think I could do that without discipline, without a course that actually got me out of my own background. Which is why I wanted to wander into larger thought forms, cosmic-sized thought forms. I remember thinking, I can't get up that high. I don't know how, because there is a part of you that will shut down a journey because you sense that if I take this journey, if I wander too far into this journey, if I cross a Rubicon, there's no going home. There's no going back. I mean, it's kind of like if you were a cartographer and you always made maps of the world because you believed it was flat. Could you actually wander over into a ship that was about to discover the world was round? Your entire reality would have to be reshaped because you wandered into a higher truth. You wandered into a truth that took down your false belief. So the wanderer is really an incredibly rich archetypal pattern that, because it is a rich archetypal pattern, it has um, it can be difficult to live with this pattern because it's demanding and it's consuming. And the shadow side of it, the shadow side is that the wanderer could say, I got to get out of here. I'm bored. I'm bored. And it responds to the most banal motivations, like boredom. That's it. I'm not entertained. I'm not bored. I'm this. I'm impatient. All of which reflect an inability to be responsible, to actually endure a journey, to actually go for what it means to wander into journeys on earth, journeys in your life that actually transform you. There are images of wanderers, for example, stories of knights and cowboys and explorers. These are archetypes that are kind of like clustered into the wanderer, have a wanderer flavor to them. And if you look at these types of wanderers, the knights, the cowboys, the explorers, there was always a treasure they were after. It was either a new castle, a maiden, a new town, gold, something. They had some kind of treasure in mind. So they didn't wander just for the sake of, I've got nothing else to do. I think I'll go, this way or that way. But it takes what really harnesses the power of the wanderer is focus. It's exactly that focus, like this. I just finished a book last week. That I'm in a book club. I love this. I always wanted to be in one, and I'm in one. And the great thing about book clubs is that you read books that other people recommend that you would never have in a million years chosen for yourself. And I'm always finding these wonderful books that I would have overlooked, because one of them is called The River of Doubt. And what it's about is Theodore Roosevelt's journey down the Amazon in, like 1912. Now, who cares about that, right? I mean, if I had gone into a bookstore and saw that book, it would have gone, but it was chosen, so I read. I'm telling you, I have never read a book where I was actually screaming, where I'd read a page and I'd start yelling like, oh my God, how can they have that, right? But it made me think, what makes an explorer? I mean, like a wanderer explorer. What is that? I so do not have this at that physical level. There is no part of me that cares to discover how long an uncharted river in the Amazon is, and meet with all these creatures where I am the low man on the totem pole in terms of life, and creatures fall out of trees and I don't even know what they are, and they can eat me up. And I am telling you right here and now, there is no, and I'm reading this and I thought, what I'm reading is my definition of hell on earth. And I do mean hell on earth. This constant fear of insects, 6-inch bugs that grab onto you, and it took 2 men to yank this insect. I mean, I'm telling you right now, I'd be out of there so fast, but I wouldn't even be there. This is the difference when you have an archetypal pattern and you don't. These men had the wanderer, explorer, but they had an explorer. And this is the difference. The explorer has a goal. And this is what I'm saying about the wanderer. To drift aimlessly is the shadow side. The focus is this capacity to be motivated, to, like Shackleton, to discover the go into the Arctic, the Antarctic, the Amazon, places that had not yet been charted, and put your lives at risk to see what's out there. And honestly, as I was reading this, I really thought about the explorer archetype and thought, that is one archetype, check, don't want it, don't have any interest in it, zero. And then I thought, wait a minute. I don't want to explore things at the physical level. I have no desire to do that. But wandering and exploring at the inner level or the psychic level is a different thing entirely. That's a different journey. That's the interior journey. That's the journey that I think far more people can relate to than deciding they want to hike up the side of, an unknown mountain or something. Because I think the quest to discover just that, the quest to discover something, is all life is. All we are doing every day is we're discovering what our life is today. What's our life like today? Everything about it, if you think about it, is yet another day of discovery. What shall I discover about my life today? Do I discover that I can handle this stress? Do I discover I really want to just kick back and do nothing but read? What do I want to discover about my world today? Do I discover a new person in my world that I didn't know was there? And every day is really a discovery. And I think the wanderer archetype is that part of ourselves that can be very intimidating and very seductive, because it's the part that can be the inner. I wonder what it's like over there. I wonder what this is like. I wonder and wander. The two words are so close together. I want to see what life like that is like. And I tell you, when I look at advertisements for what people of retirement age are promised, it totally is aimed at the wanderer archetype. Come travel here. Come do this. Come wander the world that you probably were captive in the whole time you were simply a working stiff. So now you are free to wander about and see the world around you. And they're aiming it at the wanderer archetype. Come wander, especially if you take these vitamins, especially if you do this and you do that. But they're tapping on this particular archetype more than anything else. They don't tell people come explore, because exploration is not the kind of journey a lot of people are interested in. But there are a lot of travel companies that absolutely capture the explorer archetype in you. The come explore parts unknown, come wander here. So this need to go and be adventuresome is, I think, experienced in people in more controlled ways, through vacations, through things like that, than the kind of mythic characters of pirates and cowboys and people who wandered their lives in search of booty, in search of land unknown, in search of great wealth. I think how most people experience the wanderer in them, if they have it, is that, as I said earlier, it wakes up in this sense of captivity. You feel like, I just feel contained here. I just feel like it's too small a world for me here. And it can cause a person to start living a very staccato life. Well, I have this job for a year, I'll have this, or they don't sit still. They can't seem to make a commitment. That wanderer in you is so strong that it just says, well, let's just keep going. I've got to explore. I want to go travel. I want to go wander around the planet. I want to, and it can, what are you actually, if I was speaking to someone with that wanderlust archetype, My question would be, what do you think you're actually seeking? I mean, adventure is one thing, but there's only so many adventures. Beyond that, what is actually going on inside of you that when you put your feet on the ground and you think, maybe could I stay here for a while? Could I make a commitment to this person? Could I be here? You begin to panic and think, I gotta get out of here. I gotta wander away from this, which is what the wanderer often, how it often sparks a dialogue in a person, is that it can make you feel captive in a relationship. It can make anything, it could make your ordinary world feel like captivity. Unless you have that dialogue with yourself, unless you say, I wonder, what am I actually searching for? What am I seeking here? I mean, what is, to put it in the language of the knight or the explorer or the cowboy, what is the treasure I'm looking for? What is that treasure? And for every person, I mean, it's worth a deep and wondrous dialogue with yourself to say, what am I seeking? What is it that makes me feel that I am captive in this world? That this particular setting, or this particular friendship, or this particular relationship, or job, or whatever, begins to feel like captivity to me. What am I actually looking for that would shift that? Because do I want to wander all the time? Do I want to wander from port to port, relationship to relationship? And so the wanderer asks you to wonder about, what is motivating me? What am I looking at? And you see, I want you to think about the wanderer as like connected to the explorer, the seeker, these other expressions of it in some regard. They're kind of each in a different face of each other. It's kind of like the child archetype that has the magical child, the wounded child, the invisible child, nature child. So there's numerous expressions of this one major force, of this one major archetype. And in that same way, the wanderer has numerous expressions. It can be an explorer, but an explorer has a target. Explorers want to explore this. I want to explore the Amazon, or I want to explore the Antarctic, or I want to explore the underworld. I want to explore the depths of the ocean. So you have a target. And so it's not wandering without, you're not aimless. That's the explorer. It actually has a target. And I think about the exploration of inner space and outer space, which I really do think of now as our two greatest frontiers. What the world behind our eye and the world in front of our eye, way away from ordinary eyesight. So inner space and outer space. We are very much explorers of inner space. But we don't just wander into inner space unescorted, because where are you going? I mean, to me, that's what careless drug trips are. It can take you into inner space and open up caverns of hallucinations and deep fears that should have been opened under careful exploration, inner exploration support. But so inner space and outer space as explorers are two frontiers. But always there is a treasure that we're looking for. This is part of the archetype. We're looking for a treasure. And I think you have to ask yourself if part of the treasure, if you have that wanderer in you, if part of the treasure is the idea that there's a perfect something out there somewhere, there's a perfect place, or what if there's someone better, or what if this, the inability to make a commitment, what if I'm missing something, what if I anchor too soon, the moment the wanderer decides I'm One other characteristic I should bring up right now is that the wanderer is also associated with like incubation. That's the word. It's an archetype of incubation. And why would I say this? And this is actually a description I read from not another, but a psychologist who described the wanderer that way. Forgive me, I don't have the name right up front. Oh, I think it was Carol Pearson. And that the wanderer, because it's not committed to any thought, to any situation, because it constantly says this, I'm visiting a thought form, I'm visiting a relationship, but I'm not committed to it. Calls that like an incubation stage, where it collects a number of perceptions and a number of emotions and doesn't commit to any of them, so that any of those emotions can take root and begin the journey of maturing. Now, this is a great, big, huge thing to understand. Because what if you look at a choice is a commitment. A commitment is a choice, and vice versa, really. But what that is that you're saying, I'm going to take this emotion and this bond with you, or this commitment to this idea or to this vision, and I'm now going to pour my energy, my choices, my life force into it to help it mature, and it will mature me. I'm not going to wander from this thought form. I'm going to wander into this thought form. See the difference? I'm not going to wander from this person. I'm going to wander into this person. That's what it's like to drop anchor and to decide, no, this is a perception. This is a truth that I want to know more deeply. And let me give you an example, okay? And that's how many people have wandered and continue to wander from one. Maybe I'll try yoga, maybe I'll try this, I'll try that, I'll try meditation, but then one day they encounter a discipline, a practice that somehow they don't just want to try, but they want to master. They want to wander into it. And that could be yoga. It could be meditation. Who knows what it is? But they suddenly find the treasure. And now, instead of wandering away from it, they want to wander into it and let it expand them. And it's still a version of the wanderer archetype, but you see, it is taking it and focusing that extraordinary force into this goal that says, this is a passage to a treasure I really want. And always those treasures are internal. They're always something deeply, deeply held from within. But you find those treasures once you decide to want to shift from wandering on the outside to wandering on the inside, committing yourself to, could be a place, could be a person, could be love, could be whatever it is. But your devotion becomes something that no longer terrifies you, that is something that you're afraid of, but rather becomes something that you want to wander into and explore more deeply. That's the treasure you're looking for. So, I just wanted to throw out an example of somebody, by the way, who I think is certainly a great wanderer in how I'm describing it. That would be Emily Dickinson, who never left her house, never left her room after a while, and yet wandered the universe through her poetry. Decided to enter that alternative universe that she discovered, and she wandered formlessly through a world on this on this flying carpet of her imagination and her soul. And she brought back treasures of metaphors and beauty and that's how this world spoke to her. She's obviously, for me, one of the greatest poets that have ever existed in this world. I have more books on Emily Dickinson, and every line of hers, I think, where did that come from? Where did that come from? How she wandered into this world, that the nature that she saw, instead of just seeing flowers, she saw a universe that was in somehow a harmonious movement with the design of God. She wandered, but never out of her building. So you see, these archetypes, you must not take them literally. That's their one form of expression. But it's when you see through really inner perceptual eyes and you realize that I like to wander in this universe. And I am in wonderment about the universe. And I let my wandering take me into different possibilities of what could be out there, of what could be in here and what could be out there. So I hope that if at the very least I have filled you with a little wonderment about your own life and your own capacity to wonder great thoughts and to go inside and just say, what if I just let this thought form? What if I went in and decided, I don't know, maybe I'll start meditating. Who knows? I'll just give it a shot. You enter into, you explore the depth of why is it? Meditation's been around for thousands of years. It's obviously got some kind of inner authority. So, okay, I wish you treasures, gobs and gobs of treasures in your inner treasure hunt and wandering about the domain of the wondrous world behind your eye.